Welcome to BigBossBattle.com. My name is Removable Sanity, and today we are looking at Assault Android Cactus from developer Witchbeam, and this is on the Xbox One X. So, what is Assault Android Cactus? This is an arcade-style twin-stick shooter that was released on the PC late 2015. It got critical acclaim on the PC and has finally made its port over to the Xbox family for your viewing pleasure. The premise of the game is that you play as an assault android trying to save a crippled space fighter from an attack by its own robot workers. There is a little bit of a lack in terms of story, but this game isn't about the story, it's 100% about the gameplay. So let's talk about the gameplay. Cactus is a twin stick shooter, and that is for sure, but it's its core concept that actually sets it apart from the rest of the twin stick shooters. This is all about the battery mechanic. With Cactus, your battery is perpetually running out, and you can only recharge your battery by killing massive amounts of enemies, which will eventually yield a recharge power-up. You only die once your battery has fully drained away. So this is, you may think, is quite an easy game. Well, this is not correct, because if you get knocked out, which is quite easy to do by the enemies, you have to mash the power button hard enough to wake yourself up again. This, however, stops you from actually killing enemies and wastes time, so in the end you don't get that much yielded power recharge. Couple this with the sheer amount of enemies the game throws at you, things can get pretty hectic pretty quickly. However, there is some respites. You do get a variety of power-ups that will help you progress. These are basically from slowing down time, extra firepower, even pausing the enemies and hold them in for stasis for a short period, allowing you to wipe out and more enemies to try and get that power recharge. Now, whilst power-ups are extremely helpful, crowd control is the key to progressing the levels. Most people will start off trying to play it safe, keeping for their distance and shooting enemies from afar. In Assault Android Cactus, this is the worst strategy, as for instance, the damage of your weapon dispenses is directly proportionate to the enemy's proximity. This means if you keep your distance, you won't be killing enemies as quickly as if you're close up. However, this is a high risk maneuver, and it means you're easily going to get knocked out if you don't watch yourself. But it does mean that you're more likely to grab that battery recharge timer quicker when it drops, so there is a bit of strategy to this game. Now, besides the game's varied enemies that have unique ways to try and take you down, the game throws at you another curveball in the way of the level design. Each of the levels have their own pitfalls and hazards of which you have to avoid whilst trying to get out of the way of the multitude of enemies coming to attack you. This doesn't help things that at the end of a wave the level morphs into a different level when the start of a new wave comes. So what you thought you may have actually situated and carefully plotted a route round a particular level completely changes the next time a wave of enemy turns up. Now, this may sound a bit like overkill, but trust me, it actually does bring a bit of spice and variety to each of all the levels. This is a great little task upon which everything slightly changes depending on a wave, slightly changes again depending on the enemies, and slightly changes depending on which levels you are choosing. This is great and provides that much needed variety that sometimes twin stick shooters fail to achieve. Now, at the end of 5 or so levels you get a boss fight, and this completely changes the game again. The bosses are varied and each have their own unique set of moves, meaning you need to adopt a different strategy to defeat each one each time. Now once you have completed the boss fight, you are rewarded with a brand new character which you can use from the off. There are 8 characters in total, and this is a fantastic another varied option for you to play with. Each of the characters have their own individual look and individual weapon and secondary power up. This brings a whole new way to play the levels that you've already played and the ones progressing forward. This was incredibly helpful for when I got a little bit bogged down with a particular level I couldn't get past. I could swap over to a different character and use their different weapons and different strategies, and in some cases pass through the level a bit unscathed. This was great and actually helps you don't feel too frustrated should a particular character not be working for you. The control system for the game is really well done, intuitive and really smooth. The buttons are perfectly placed and the actual controls themselves never felt like you were getting a bit too tiresome trying to actually just fire in one direction all the time. Yes, there was a mass of enemies, but I found with some twin stick shooters you start to aim because you're always pushing or you're always aiming one particular direction. You never will get that with this game. It moves around so much that your hands are always constantly doing something, and this helps avoid that repetitive strain injuries. Now the game's story mode is pretty short and you should be able to complete it within about 6 to 8 hours depending on your skill set. However, the devs have actually added in a co-op, and this is where the game really shines and comes to its own. Playing with a mate or even up to 4 friends in this game is fantastic, and I had really brought myself a smile to my face as I was going through it. There's also additional modes called Infinity Drive, which is basically like survival, and a daily drive modes for you to conquer. And there is even more. Alongside the usual extras like new codex, art gallery and a jukebox, the game itself grants players some game-changing elements called X options. Now basically you get these by going through the game, and you earn gold which you can use to unlock these features, and these features include a first person camera mode, AI teammates, screen filters and more, and you can have all these on and turned on, and this completely changes the game in so many different ways. Honestly, it is really amazing and fantastically well thought out of. Doing a boss mode in first person with 4 AI teammates, which splits the screen up into 4 different modes, is fantastic. Completely blows your mind and is a bit blurry and bit too much for the eye sometimes, but it's fantastic and it's a game changer and it's free. I actually really like this, and it shows the devs have really thought about how they can keep people playing this game all the time without having to add in microtransactions. I have to say this is one of the most fun-filled twin stick shooters I have played in a very long time, and this really does put AAA publishers and developers to shame, being that this is a game from an indie dev. It has been thought out really well. You can tell it by its gameplay that this has really been picked through at every stage and just basically been designed for the players. So what about the graphics? Well, we reviewed this game on the Xbox One X. So the game here is enhanced and takes on board its HDR and 4K resolutions. However, I will say that the basic Xbox One will have a fantastic looking game. Yes, it will be better on the Xbox One X, but even though, I still would say this is going to be a fantastic looking game for those with the basic model. Now, the environmental special effects play particularly well with the game's strategy, and using clever angles and lighting effects, it also creates unique enjoyable arenas. The actual enemies themselves have aura, which is like a visual tell, which helps you tell when they're going to attack and when they're not going to attack, and when they're about to come around the corner and aim at you. The graphics are superb, clear and crisp. There is also no frame rate issues on this as well, which I was quite surprised about, with the numerous enemies attacking you. And when you've got 4-player, I really thought there was going to be some graphical issues or some frame rate drops. This never appeared. As I said, I am doing this on the Xbox One X, so there may be a little bit of an issue there, I can't say, but definitely on the Xbox One X, this had no problem handling this game whatsoever. So what I can say about this is that visually it's a treat and superbly works well with the game. And this leads me on to the sound of the game. The soundtrack is perfectly suited with upbeat, energising tunes, which kind of enhance the frantic feel of the action. The sound effects are used really well, both for stylistic impact and effective notification of information when things hit a particular enemy, for instance. Now, there is a minimal voice acting in this, but again, the voice acting that is there is beautiful, crisp and clear. Overall, the sound does exactly what it is on the tin. There's nothing major about the sound. It's beautiful. It's crisp. It does work better slightly, I found, on a headset than they say on a sound bar. But overall, it is a really crisp and clear sound. The bass is well suited for when there are explosions, and when it comes to particular different weapons, everything feels different and sounds differently for the individual characters that you may use. So what is our verdict for the game? Well, without a doubt, this is wholeheartedly a big thumbs up from me and a 100% recommendation. I have never had so much fun with a twin stick shooter than I have had with this, and I can tell you now, this is a great game, and this is for the following reasons. The game's well-crafted level design is perfect, and it is beautifully crafted to the point where it's challenging but not frustrating. The character variation is beautiful and will provide a fantastic replayability for no matter how far you go with this game. The soundtrack is beautiful and pumping. It will help push you towards the very end. The different modes and options you get in this game will keep you coming back for many hours, no matter how many times you've completed the story mode. The added option of co-op, 4-player co-op, means that you're going to have a great time playing with your mates on this game. And now we come to the price of the game. The game is currently priced at 12 UK pounds or 15 US dollars. That is a fantastic price for the amount of hours and amount of different playabilities and replayabilities you will get out of this game. Yes, the game plays, or should I say the story mode's only about 6 to 8 hours, but with all the different filters, with all the different modes and the co-op, you are playing it well after the story mode is gone and dusted. We do hope you found this review insightful and helpful. Please do give us a comment, as we do like to hear from you. It does help us, give us a bit more indication of what you want to see from your reviews. And if you're at it, maybe a thumbs up or a thumbs down would help out as well. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a great time gaming, and we shall all see you again soon.